So my mother-in-law hits me up. She wants to reconnect with her son, my husband, and I just think it's a horrible idea. They started off on the wrong foot because, she disappeared for 20 years and now she wants to pop up back into his life. And when I break it down what exactly she told me, you might think she's crazy. Let's find out. Should I hear my mother-in-law out when she tries to reconnect with my husband? I've been struggling with a dilemma for the past few days. Nobody I talk to seems to know what the right thing to do is. I want to approach this matter with some sensitivity because it affects my husband. I really don't want to open old wounds for him by honoring his mother's request. I can understand that she wants to take care of him and make up for the lost years, but I'm not sure if it'll be the best thing to do right now for him, considering their history. I can understand her pain as a woman, though, but I also understand how my hubby feels. When I met him, the scars from his past barely were healed. That woman did so much to him that it took years for him to trust her. He cannot touch a drop of alcohol because he fears that he's going to end up like her. However, recently she's come back into our lives wanting to reconnect. He'll not have it, but she's adamant, and she cornered me a few days ago and she cried about how the whole situation with her son brings her pain. She begged me to help her because he needs a motherly love, but I did not know what to do. Let me tell you how it all began so that you can better advise me. About 20 years ago, when my husband was 10, he was put into his aunt's custody. His mom was a single mother who ended up turning to alcohol. She abused alcohol for ages and it had a toll on his life. She neglected him, took her anger out on him, and hit him. She also forgot to pay bills and buy food. Because of this, he was always unkempt and had bruises all over his body. He covered them up as best as he could because he did not want to be taken away to foster care. His mother often told him horror stories of foster care, and he thought that it was the worst place for somebody to end up. Well, one day, one of the bruises on his face was showing and his teacher noticed. She alerted the school counselor, who escalated the matter to Child Protective Services. After a thorough investigation, they found out that his mother was an alcoholic and she was abusing him. They put him into the system, but his aunt, who is his mother's sister, applied for custody. He moved in with his aunt to another state and never saw his mom again. He just assumed that she ended up dying because she fell off the face of the earth. After that, he had a very healthy childhood with his aunt, and even then, he still had so much trauma when it came to his childhood. Because of that, he decided that he was never going to drink. He never dated anyone who drank, and that was as far as it went, and that's how us two ended up dating. We were in the same friend group. Our friend group all worked in the same street, and most of them preferred to drink and party, I'd say. Before I met them, I was the girls' designated driver, metaphorically. I would often pick them up when they could not get home, and sometimes I would go out with them to places, but I never drank. I just never liked the smell of it, to be honest. I also did not like the way it made my friends act, and over the years I saw some of them wreck their own lives because of alcohol. There were those who could control their intake and those who simply could not. I didn't want to find out which one I fell into, so one day a friend of mine introduced me to his friend group. While everyone was having fun, I just sat in the corner and doodled. I was very much into art and design, and even though the lighting was bad, I could see what I was doing in there, and I'd given my friend an hour to finish up and then we would head home. So I noticed that the only sober guy who remained was looking at me. So I asked him, hey buddy, what are you looking at? He asked me why I wasn't out enjoying the party and dancing like everybody else. I told him that I did not feel like dancing or drinking. Well, he laughed and said that I could have fun without drinking, you know. I told him that I'm busy, and I went back to my work. He sat there for a while, and then he returned to the dance floor. He came back a couple minutes later, and he was drinking a clear liquid, which then I thought was alcohol, and I thought that he was going to try to chat me up like most drunk guys did, but he did not. He just sat there and watched me. After a while, I was satisfied with my drawing, and he asked if he could see it. Well, I allowed it. He then asked me if I needed something to drink, and I reminded him that I don't drink alcohol. And he told me that he's the same. Well, I asked him, well, what are you drinking there, buddy? He told me to taste it. It was soda pop. I could not believe that I trusted this man and tasted it, but it was actually soda pop. We talked for a little before I had to drive my friends home, and yes, we bumped into each other a couple more times, this time in daylight, and ended up becoming friends. So, the progression of our catching feelings was natural, but we were both so shy. In the end, I decided that I could only live once, so I asked him out. And that was the beginning of our love story. 5 years later, we're married, have a beautiful home, and want to start a family soon. We have the same values and dedication to each other and are very, very honest. I know everything about him, and he does the same for me. He's come a long way from the person that I've met who struggled with trust, but now she's back, and she wants to undo all of that. About a month ago, he gets a message from a woman claiming to be his mother on social media. He didn't reply, and he did not tell me about it, and she then sent me a message, asking me if I could ask her son to message her, and I showed him the message. He tells me to block her. He said that he was not interested in anything that came out of her mouth because he knew that it was going to be a lie. He would never forgive her for what she did to him 2 decades ago. Somehow, this woman got our address, and, she ended up sending us a letter inviting us to see her. We threw away the letter, and the ones that came after that. What I did not know was that she showed up at his workplace to ask for a chance to speak. He had her kicked out by security, and seeing that her advances were failing, she decided to approach me using trickery. I was under the assumption that I was meeting with an artist who wanted to have some of her paintings up in my gallery. I had no idea that it was my mother-in-law. She doesn't share his surname because she never got married to his dad. When I got to my meeting, she confessed that she took me there under false pretenses. She showed me a picture of the two of them when Dale was young, and as soon as I saw the picture, I just wanted to leave. But she begged me to stay. She tells me that for the past 20 years she's been trying to fix herself. She lives with pain for what she did, and she wants to change it. She told me that she has been getting help and has been clean for a couple of weeks now. She said that all of her choices had led to rock bottom and irreversible damages to her life. I asked what she meant, and she said that actions have consequences and she was paying for hers. She said that before that, she's been clean for 2 years, and she claimed that she was now rebuilding her life and wanted to reconnect with her son. She starts to cry, and I could see that she was really in pain. There was nothing much that I could do but just sit there, and I was confused about what to actually do. I know that he hates his mother and that he hates, and it just festers deep down inside of him, and sometimes I fear that it might hold him back. I only ever want what is best for him. Should I allow her to see him with the chance that this will heal the parts of him that has been refusing to heal for years? What if this actually ends up setting him back and he hates me? I really just need some advice right now. What's up, everybody? Mr. Redditso here. Oh man, today's story is going to be a wild one. I do want to know your thoughts on this one because, this could go one or two ways. A lot of the commenters are saying, hey, OP, you need to stay out of this one. Well, there's also commenters saying, no, this is what your husband needs. He needs to fix his relationship with his mom so he can go about healing. I want to know your thoughts on it, so drop your comments down below. But guys, enough yapping. We have updates to get into, and if you guys are new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Here is the first update, update number 1. So last night, we had a dinner with my mother-in-law, and it did not go well. She did not listen to what I told her to do, and she's now back to square one. I tried to help her, but after what she did, I never help her again. How do I help someone who can't follow simple instructions? I told her not to rush things, not to bribe him, and not to force it. As the person who knows him more than her, I know, the things that he hates. See, he doesn't like fakeness, he doesn't like liars, and he prefers honesty and for someone to take things slow. Over the past 2 weeks, I've been buttering him into seeing his mom just once. I finally succeeded, and he agreed for her to come over for dinner last night. Dinner was very quiet in the beginning, and we did not know what to talk about, but it was a start, right? After dinner, I went to check on the dessert so that they could have a chance to talk. Not even 10 minutes later, I heard shouting from the living room. I ran there, and guess what I found? My husband was in the corner, having an absolute mental breakdown, and she was sitting there looking guilty. I asked her to leave. When she left, he calmed down and, well, then he tells me what happened. He said that she claimed to be sorry for what happened and she asked if she could make things up to him by taking us on a holiday. He declined her request, telling her that he was not sure if he ever wanted to see her again, and he told her that he just wanted to take things slow for now and see where they went, and apparently she gets upset and said that he would regret putting off spending time with her when she passes away. That got him very upset, and he reminded her that for 20 years she's been dead to him. That ended up triggering him in return, and he gets very irate. And just the sight of her made me feel sick. I knew right then that dinner was probably too fast, wasn't it? He was just so upset, and it was back to square one. I told him I was very sorry for trying to get him to reconnect with her, and he tells me that he knew I meant well and that I should not blame myself. Even though he does not blame me, I feel super guilty right now. I have no idea that she was going to force him to accept her like that. Anyways, I'll update you guys when things progress just a little bit. Update number 2. Hey, had I known how pesky that woman was actually going to be, I would have never invited her for dinner. Every day she goes too far, and I find a reason to hate her. Now I'm seeing the traits that Dale told me that she has, and if she does not get something, then she throws a tantrum. Unfortunately, we have just been subject to it. First of all, we found out that she has an apartment across town. She sent me a message telling me that she wanted to be closer to us and that we could actually fix things. I responded to her only a few of her messages, but it was exhausting. It became clear extremely fast that she was trying to force things. With each limit that she crossed, I hated her even more. She started to send gifts to our house, so I sent them back to her. I told her that it was not necessary, and she said that she was just so sorry for how things turned out the last time. I told her that the least that I could do was ask my husband to unblock her, and she could text him and try to regain his trust, but if there were any funny business this time, we would never give her another chance. So my husband unblocked her. He started texting her every once in a while and updated me. He told me that he had asked a lot of questions about her life and for proof that she was actually putting in work to change. Well, to our surprise, she was putting in the work. She had a good track record, and some people would even vouch for her. She also started to calm down by forcing conversations and letting things just happen naturally. It went on for a couple more days, and the progress was very slow. But it was better than no progress, and we then decided to give her more of a chance to prove herself in person. That absolutely ended in a disaster. So, we invited her over to come to church with us and have lunch with us afterward. Church went well, and then we went back home. During lunch, she brings up the fact that she wants to go on a vacation with us again. My husband said that it's too soon, and I agreed with him. I asked her if we could just revisit the topic in the coming year, and she then said that tomorrow was not promised to any of us, so why not do it while we had a chance? Excuse me. This is the same lady that 20 years ago had already gone to waste when she was growing old. She wished to spend the time that she had with us now. My husband told her that we could revisit the trip in a couple of years, and he simply was not ready for this at the time yet. She was very, very forceful, trying to convince us and not taking no for an answer at all, which annoyed me to absolute no end, by the way. I could see that my husband was on the verge of snapping at her, and I tried to change the subject quick. But suddenly I was catching stray bullets, and she said that clearly I was bad-mouthing her to her son. My husband stood up for me, basically telling her to keep my name out of her mouth. She then got angry, screaming that she was trying hard to fix things, but we would not even meet her halfway. She then said that it was her own fault, and he was acting like a spoiled brat because she did not discipline him enough or teach him manners. There was silence after that, and a moment later, Dale stood up and left the room. I was left sitting across from her, and I told her that she knew the way out, and clearly she still wants to blame Dale for her actions and lack of self-control. I knew bringing her back into his life would be a bad idea, but I still did it. I feel like such a fool, to be honest. I mean, poor Dale has not even spoken about it. He's just gone into not speaking to me, even if I mention her name. I feel incredibly terrible right now. Update number 3. Guess who came back to apologize, and if not my mother-in-law. She really can't take a hint that we don't want anything to do with her. She's not changed, and she's bad for my husband's health, but of course we were nice enough to hear her out. I can tell you one thing, I did not believe a word that came out of her little mouth. So she calls us just a few days later, in fact, and asked to speak to both of us, and she said that she was so sorry for the way that she acted on that day. She said that she was ashamed to tell us, but she actually relapsed on that day. She said that she drank far too much and the alcohol made her act that way. She claimed that she was under a lot of stress and dealing with things that she could not tell us about, and I asked her to tell us so that we could simply help her. Well, she said that she did not want to burden us with her problems, and I did not believe a single word that she said. First of all, I have a strong sense of smell, especially when it comes to alcohol, and she did not smell like it at all that day. Not even a single drop. We were with her from the moment we left church until we got back home, so she was in our house for hours where there's not even a single bit of alcohol there. So where could she have gotten it from, you might even be asking? I felt as if she was using alcohol as a scapegoat for her actions. I simply could not believe it, but it seemed to be true. He told her that she really needed to start being more respectful of his choices, and he did not owe her anything. Not after what she did to him, and she claimed that she understood and was working to be better every day. Speaking to her was incredibly exhausting, and we did not need this. We had other things to focus on, and we had finally decided that the time had come to start trying for a baby. If she stressed us, then it was going to have an impact on our efforts. Anyways, they ended up talking it through and decided that maybe it was too soon for them to be seeing each other in person. My husband still seemed open to giving her a chance, and because of that, I decided to keep my thoughts to myself and not tell him that I thought she was acting. I decided to let her disappoint him on her own. She was already doing a good enough job of it and did not seem to need any help. So for now, they've gone back to how things were. She texts him nearly every day, and they have phone conversations, and she claims that relapsing reminds her of how important things in life are. I don't want to seem like I'm invalidating her for wanting to be sober, but I don't trust this woman. My husband has told me countless stories about her and her manipulation, and that makes me doubt that she's changed. I know I should have thought about that before helping her get back into her son's life. That's a regret that I'm going to have to live with for a very long time in my life. What I can do is be ready to comfort my husband and when she does mess up. She's been staying here for less than a year and she's already messed up twice. It's not going to take very long. I don't want to seem like I'm rooting for my husband to get hurt. I'm just so overprotective of him and want the best for him. Even if I'm wrong, who knows? Maybe she really has changed and will be proven to be a good mother. I can only hope that this is the case. Update number 4. Hey, so, something strange has been happening lately, and I wonder what you might think of it. I think that my mother-in-law's actually stalking us. On more than one occasion, we had gifts delivered to our place, and those gifts were very specific. They've been things that my husband and I have discussed in private, and it started with small things that could have been a coincidence. We thought that one of our friends was buying stuff off our wish list. However, things got a bit eerie when the coffee maker arrived, and my husband has been fanboying over it for days. Ever since he saw an ad online for it, he's been begging me to get it, and of course I told him that it was out of our budget and that we could revisit it in a few months. Well, he gets a bit sad because it was selling out fast, despite the hefty price, and guessed what came in the mail a couple of days later? That same coffee machine. Everything was accurate from the design of it to the brand. My husband was literally screaming when he saw it and ran up and started hugging me. He called me the best wife in the world for getting it for him, but I was seriously confused because I was not comfortable with it. After he calmed down, I broke the news to him and he was very confused. He tells me that he only told me about the coffee machine. He never told anyone else because he did not want them to beat him to buy it. The both of us get very suspicious. Could there be somebody spying on us? Maybe his mother. She was the only person we could think of who would do something like this, and we decided not to panic. Instead, we texted each other about our suspicions and agreed on one thing. We were going to install cameras around the house and outside to see if we could catch her. Ow. We also decided to put extra security on our phones just in case she hacks them. We were very paranoid and absolutely freaked out. This could not be a coincidence. She had to have known what we were talking about, where we were and what we were doing, and that unnerved me. We decided to act normal so that we would not realize that we knew. Instead, we planned to catch her in the act, and this time there would be no forgiveness. In fact, it was probably going to lead to jail time for her, and we were tired of her not taking the hint. Clearly, she could not respect boundaries. Do you think that someone like that deserves to be in our lives? Does she deserve a second chance, or was giving her a chance the biggest mistake of our lives? We'll find out once we have the security cameras installed. Update number 5. Hey guys, it's me again. Well, honestly, what we just found out is so disappointing. We really wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt, guys, but she made it impossible. When she did not show up on the cameras, we thought that maybe she was, not the culprit. We had them on for weeks, and not once did she set foot in our house. However, we continued to receive gifts. They were shipped directly from the stores, so we simply could not even track them. We tried to go to the stores and ask for help, but it was in vain. We decided that we needed to take another approach, and there was a way that she would keep an eye out for us and find out what we wanted. So one day, I take my husband for a run and explained my new plan to him. He felt it was a very good plan and was more than happy to assist me with it. When we got home, we went to work, and over the next few days, he would talk about something that he wanted. Whenever he entered each room, he would say what exactly it was that he wanted. I would take note of it clearly. She must have some sort of recording device around the home. We just needed to find out which rooms they were in, and we would have caught her. We did that for a few days and waited, and sure enough, at the beginning of the next week, we got something in the mail. When my husband was in the living room, he mentioned that he wanted some power tools. Well, guess what we found later on in the mail? That's right, it was proof that there was definitely something in the living room. However, we needed to test it out, so I asked him to say something again in that room, and sure enough, he got exactly what he spoke about. It was like there was a magical genie granting all of his wishes, and it was the creepiest thing ever. I did not understand how that woman's brain worked. She could not just buy her way out of this, and my husband was not a materialistic person at all. As I had told her in the beginning, instead, she thought that she knew how to deal with her son. This was not the way to go about it. We were honestly so fed up with her at this point. We called the police and let them know exactly what was going on, and we were suspecting the worst. They told us that they would quickly do a swipe of the house to check for bugs and any cameras that we did not install. Sure enough, they found a camera and a voice recorder in the living room. She must have left them at the house on the day that she visited us last, and clearly she's been listening to our conversation since. They told us that they would conduct further investigation and a search of her place to see if they could get any proof. They left but promised to keep us updated. Hopefully they get enough proof and arrest that crazy woman. Finally, this nightmare is coming to an end. Update number 6, final update of the story. Finally things have settled down enough for me to relax for a bit. My mother-in-law created a big mess that needed to be sorted out. Thankfully, she's out of our lives now and we don't need to stress about her. However, she definitely managed to give us quite the runaround. When the cops got to her place, she pretended not to be home. I'm sure they got there before she could manage to run away. However, her building manager had no choice but to share her keys. And once the cops got into the house, they looked around and ended up finding some incriminating information about her. It did not take them long to find her hiding in the house. They immediately arrested her and took her into custody. She denied having anything to do with what was happening. Unfortunately for her, she could not hide the proof, and the cops managed to make charges. With her ongoing case, we were able to actually request a restraining order, which we got within no trouble. However, before we got it, she asked to see my husband. He said that he was going to see her for the last time to tell her that he was never going to forgive her, and when we came back home, he was absolutely shell-shocked. He said that the whole time she's been wanting to tell him something but could not figure out how to. It turns out she sent all those gifts hoping to soften his heart because she wanted to ask him something. The years of drinking, they were taking a toll on her life. She has liver failure, and needs a transplant in order to survive. She wanted to ask him to donate his liver to her because she was not yet ready to die. She explained that it was why she was in such a rush to get him to forgive her and go on a trip. She wanted to make things up and just hopefully get him to donate part of his liver. She told him that the doctor said it was possible for a donor to donate as long as they were healthy. She knew that he was healthy because when she stalked his socials, he always talked about being straight edge, alcohol and drug-free. As you can imagine, my husband said no to her request. He said that after her little stunt, there's no way in hell he was going to help her. He's not spoken to her since, and she tried to appeal because of medical reasons, but she was a flight risk because of past crimes. She managed to get herself 1 year in jail for the stalking, and she's so lucky that we did not push for a longer sentence, you know. We pitied her for wanting to get closer to her son the wrong way. However, she's not allowed near our family again. She could come back in a year and pretend to have changed, but we won't accept her, you know. She's done irreparable damage to our lives, and it cannot be forgiven. Well, guys, on the bright side, my husband and I have been focusing on starting our family. We've been talking to the doctor who told us that our levels of stress have definitely decreased in the past few months. Hopefully this is a good thing and we can actually start for a family. Right now we're reading parenting books and just talking our friends who have kids. We really want to do it right. It would be nice if we don't have to make the same mistakes that his mom made. Well, what did I learn from this? That not everyone can change no matter how much you want them to, and even if it's a family member, just because someone is a family member does not mean that they can abuse you in any way that they want. There's so much more to a family and loyalty than that, and don't be afraid to cut off that person in your life who keeps on hurting you and causing you pain. You'll see that without them, you're a happier and safer person than with them.